I will.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it may be for you. For our people here, it is night time, as we do not go out in the day, even in the far back history of Edessa, which is where this scene is taking place. Naerfiel has been informed that there is a competition of sorts between certain individuals that are trying to make themselves barons. And being a resident of Edessa, he's got some personal concerns on such matters. Therefore, he is seeking out the second person, as he has already had a encounter with Ulrich, who told him that a Ravnos was actually attempting to become the baron. So, judging from how things went with his interactions with Ulrich, he is going to head through the slums that he frequents, break into a house, and unfortunately, he does not manage to find anybody for extra blood this evening on his way to locate. So he continues on from his failed hunting to head towards the castle that he was told is where individuals are putting forth their bids. He's hoping maybe somebody would be able to help him locate where this Ravnos is.
Uh, Funny you should mention that because the aforementioned Ravnos was also had just been in a meeting because he needed to feed like any other good Canaanite. He went to the slums and found some unsuspecting poor people and beat the shit out of them to get some extra blood for the evening. And so he will have probably left a little earlier. So you might have seen him enter the area where the Elysium is in the castle area. He is dressed in proper merchant clothes, but a trained warrior that you can see spot the class 3 armor he wears underneath it, like the composite armor. I don't remember the exact description off the top of my head, but it's pretty good armor actually.
Okay. Well, as you can see, Naerfiel does not have fancy armor. He does wear a cloak, a hooded cloak when he goes out and about in the city, despite being a mountain of a man. And he does pass himself off as being heavily scarred, but he still doesn't necessarily want individuals to be concerned with his hideousness. So keeping his face and head usually obscured helps to pass himself off as just an old and severely wounded combatant from the Crusades. And yeah, he heads into the castle to try to find anybody that could be of Canaanite descent.
Yes.
He's going to activate Auspex for sense of smell, so that he can try to see what if anybody smells of death. Yes.
Time out for a second. The thing is, like, I think it is in Castle Foreground, or some area of the castle where it's essentially you're going to notice Canaan's there because it's fairly public in a sense. So you're going to find it quickly. You're going to find there's going to be 2 honor guard people standing there. It's going to be jars with names on them, with blood in them. Just giving you a description. And Gil will be sitting there. Yeah, he's going to smell of blood and death like kindred.
Okay. Oh. Cousin?
He clams his hands together. Another individual I have not met. He rises up to properly greet you with a good nod, respectful. It's like, I am.
Who are? Do you know where the guys are? The names are on these jars.
I am one of them. I am of Clan Ravnos, a walker on the Road of Kings.
So you're the one that's challenging Ulrich, is it?
There's more him that's challenging me, actually. I'm put my name in there first. But that's a technicality. But yes, I am his competition. And if there are any questions you want to ask me, of course, I
Yeah,
do.
I do have questions to ask you. As Ulrich has been touring around trying to beg for support, I was wondering what exactly it was that you intend to do with this barony.
I'm not beg for support is not my approach. I work hard for my campaign, but I don't beg personally. But anyway, that's not related to your question. What do I intend to do with this barony? My foremost concern is implementing structure. We have been free for 6 months to pursue whatever interest we please. And while that has a certain appeal, there's been no one here to enforce the laws that govern our society, to make sure domain is handed out to deserving individuals or clans, to make sure no one commits any unfortunate mistakes or takes the law in their own hands or breaks them on their own, since there have been no consequences so far.
Ulrich is attempting to buy people's interest with giving them positions. Are you going to be throwing around fancy titles haphazardly?
Throwing them around. The thing with positions, the thing with titles is that they need to be based on merit. I could, of course, give them out to whoever decided to support my campaign. And while that would give me short-term benefits, they might not be qualified for the position I'm proposing to give them. And that would be unfortunate to have unfit keepers of Elysium or unfit sheriffs or unfit seneschals.
And who judges who's fit and unfit?
Well, there's two ways to go about it. You can say the city judges. They can point out the flaws of a candidate for a position, but in the end, the decision is mine. If I'm down, and I do not judge people on if they supported me or not, because while that's a nice way to go about things for me, it would not be good for the city if they turned out to be not qualified now, would it? It's more important to look for what can merit the people at large than what can merit me. There's those that choose to support me now. In the end, a ruler's interest should be for this charges, would it not?
Sorry, I missed that last little bit.
I said, in the end, and the interest of an authority figure would be for all his charges, not only the ones that blush to him first.
Yeah.
There's a children creature assistant.
Yeah.
Bribes.
I hope that you don't win.
Why?
Because there will be unrest in the city if you win.
Oh.
I was hoping, as a lower clan, that there might be an opportunity that you would be more benevolent than Ulrich. But it sounds like you're not going to be better than him.
Well, that's certainly a thing to...
It's unfortunate.
It's an unfortunate thing to say, and I disagree. I don't go around, I'm not opinion to go around and just handing out positions because it might be convenient for me to do so at present.
Oh, of course. And
I prefer to look for the future, look into the future and what's best for the city, as I've mentioned. I only want order. I only want structure.
And that's where you and I have a different opinion.
I don't want to...
Structure is laws and litigation, and where
We already
people with more ego than spirit try to bully others into doing what they want and make them dance like puppets.
remember our kind has laws. I don't intend on adding any others to that to those.
There's two laws that make sense. Don't be a dick and look after yourself. Everything else falls into play on those things.
In a perfect world, in a perfect world where everyone could abide by those rules, I would agree. Unfortunately,
the weak need to be raised up, though, not stomped upon.
Of course, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in stomping down the weak.
No, but you're talking about bringing structure and order to a city that's functioning fine. We're all doing our own thing. There hasn't been any problems, any concerns. We don't have heads rolling down the street or souls being eaten. So why would we need to impose any more structure than what we already have?
For one thing, because someone above us is requiring us to put that structure down.
What's he going to do if we don't?
You haven't met. You haven't met the ones you've sent, have you? They will. If
I have attended the court accidentally in Jerusalem once, so I'm not sure who he sent, but
he sent a rather huge contingent of, not huge, but a big contingent of warriors here to honor guard, to be more exact. That's a nod towards the table, which is guarded, as we have here, and treason is talk is not fortunate, considering that Edessa is in the territory of the Prince of the Holy Land and the Levant. He will abide by his wishes. His wishes is that we must have a baron.
And what happens if we don't?
Then he will implement one for us.
And what if nobody listens to that one?
Let's hope he doesn't come to that. He made kind of like, yeah.
You know, the city was working so well. If something's not broken, why do people keep trying to fix it?
It was working for it. May have appeared well, and I personally haven't enjoyed my stay here, but I had concerns about how well it was going to function if a crisis ever happened, if there was no structure, no order to organize us by. If anyone decided to suddenly start draining souls, there would be no one to enforce that such an unfortunate event would not occur. This is just my take on it. I do not want to stomp down the weak or try to have the old clan, have the high clans and the low clans being shuffled into categories. I believe in right. I don't believe in lineage should dictate who should get an opportunity to advance or not, or wherever you come from as a mortal.
You throw a lot of words around that I don't trust, but you claim the spirit of. So basically, you're saying that if you are the Baron, you can be the Baron so that we have a Baron, but you're basically just going to let everything continue as it is with nothing new added on top.
I will, of course, enforce if there are any rules broken. I will enforce them, but there will be a tax to the Prince of Jerusalem.
A tax?
Yeah.
What kind of tax?
20 mortals.
And that's something that the Baron has to deal with?
That's something the Baron has to deal with, not the Kenneth of the city. But I'm not going to suddenly start adding on 5,000 rules, and suddenly the low clans have to all reside in the slum, or the high clans all have to reside in the slum out of nowhere. The system has been going. The people have been going well so far, and who needs to enforce a rule if no one breaks it? But it's nice to have something in place in case it happens.
Well, I don't want to have to deal with the Prince's Court, and I don't have to want to deal with taxation. So if you are choosing to be the person that has to put up with all that bullshit, that's fine. But don't expect me to bend a knee, and don't get in my face, and we'll be fine.
He just shrugs, like, because if that's your view, that's your view. I will.
Ulrich makes similar claims and promises, so whether either of you ends up becoming Baron and can live up to your promises, we will see.
That's just up to fate now, isn't it?
Seen too much to countermand faith. What you can see, what you can feel is all that matters.
I agree. That was merely making a jest. But you don't need to roll on the theory. Was actually agreeing there. Yeah, just that. So,
very well.
I see that you are not from this land, like I am.
No, I haven't made it here before.
How did you find your way to these parts, if I may ask?
I headed north from Jerusalem once the Great Crusade was over, and this is where I ended up.
You partook in the Great Crusade. The way I came down to the whole these parts were from the ring that preceded that. I was young, and the People's Crusades appealed to my religious spirits. So I made my way down here to the Holy Lands and saw the immense failure that was. And after that, I resided in Constantinople, where I was made into what I am today.
I have been to Constantinople. That's a nice city, but I suspect I will probably not return there for a while.
Well,
we'll see if Edessa can stay comfortable for the time being. Anyway, I like it here.
I think we all do. It's a new thing that most of us aren't used to. No elders. Freedom for 6 months has been a refreshing thing.
That's what I like. So that's why this talk of the barony is disappointing. But
I can understand this feelings. And if I can give you a recommendation, I know a Canaanite with that you can. I think you will have a lot in common with. You should seek out a bruja called Santiago. I think you will find a fair bit to have a common interest in. When all of this, he was in a way one that started all of this indirectly. He sparked the public forum when the war was over, and he shares your inclinations when it comes to, or your ideals, I should say, about the world.
Well, then, we will, I guess I have another one to try to see.
Yes, another one to try to see, and I think
I'd wish you good luck on your bid for the barony, but I actually don't, so I won't. But at least you are open to conversation and not as forcefully resistant as some others are in debating the subject.
Well, what's the point of even having a bid if you're not open to discuss it?
Mhm. Not everybody would see it the same way.
That's kind of like going outside and not being willing to breathe the fresh air, if you take my
So
saying.
if we only had two people trying for the barony, what would happen if we chose both of you to co-run the barony?
I unfortunately am not in a position to comment that, since I am not the representative that actually oversees the election. That would, if there was down to, if everyone got an equal amount of votes, he shrugs.
You might have to
Hoaxes.
break the tie through combat, perhaps.
That would be most interesting. I thankfully am not unskilled in certain areas, so if it comes down to that, I will not be. I am not worried.
But having two people who want the position to put you both in charge would perhaps be the best option, unless anybody else steps forward with the bid.
This is indeed a thing. One could be, if it's an equal wolf, one could be the Chamberlain. That's essentially Seneschal, out of character comment, and one could be the Baron. By default, then you would have solved a lot of problems if it comes down to that.
It comes down to that. Anyhow, I'm sure somebody will be passing me a writ or something telling me who won. So
that means you will refrain from voting altogether.
I'm not, because I really don't care which of you guys becomes the official spokesman of the city. Ulrich seems to think that I would be a candidate as sheriff for his barony. Whether he carries through with that decision or not, I guess we'll see. Was very clear with him on what my opinion of that was, but he might do it just to spite me anyway.
It seems awfully childish. If someone doesn't want a job, then giving it to someone would be rather pointless now, isn't it?
Possibly. Though at the same time, I guess if the title means I get less hassle to do what I want, then who's complaining?
Who's complaining? Anyway, I wish you a good day, and hopefully you can keep yourself occupied.
I tend to. I hope that in the future we will cross paths favorably like this and not on the battlefield.
Yeah. That's, in the end, that's all one can say to each other.
And with that, he'll pull his hood back up and turn around and head out of the castle and back into the night.
Yeah. And with that, we can end the scene.
And we can. So thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you around the castle.